My goal is to motivate people to become better sledders and have more fun in the backcountry, in the deep snow, in the mountains. So Chris and I have talked about doing an instructional riding video for a couple of years, and we haven't been able to put it together until now. When I'm riding and I'm pushing myself, yeah, I get stuck. Yeah, I wreck a sled once in a while, but I'm advancing my skills at the same time, and that's what drives me. That's what keeps me going. That's why I like to go snowmobiling. I guarantee when you start pushing yourselves to the limit, you will become better snowmobilers for it.
I'm able to learn the type of lines that he does. I'm able to learn what he does when he gets in a certain situation, and usually that involves a lot of gas and a lot of pedaling and breaking branches off before it whacks you in the head and the helmet.
That's Brett doing it normal.
Good stuff. That's good old drool. Schooled us there.
Yeah.
Till I rode with Brett, I considered myself a pretty good snowmobiler.
It's time to fly the finger, yeah, that middle digit brings your point and it drives it home. On my head there's no crown of thorns, this evil scout is earned his holes. I'm gonna hop on top of your mob before I go. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You know I'm in league with Satan, man. You know there can be no debating my hellbound trail. I was born with a tail. I'm on a hellbound trail. Born with a tail.
There, how do I look? I mean, this dude has been doing it since forever.
I believe it's fair to say that Brett Rasmussen is one of the guys that's responsible for redefining what it means to be a mountain snowmobile rider and therefore the sport of snowmobiling in general.
It was famous for the one-legged stand. Get out and get the leg out like this and pull the sled up.
On the hill climb circuit, I've seen Brett pull off some amazing stunts on a snowmobile. Taking a snowmobile where nobody else could get it.
This guy said, I saw something that had never been done before up on Rabbit Ears. I'm like, really? What was it? Who did it? Brett Rasmussen did it. And I was like, oh, that doesn't surprise me.
One of the recommendations I would have if you go riding with Brett or Chris would be to leave your ego at home. For you to be able to take the most advantage of what they have to offer, you have to probably pretty much forget everything that you think that you know.
It's really tough for me because I take people out to ride, and I take for granted that I'm doing all these just little tricks. They're nothing crazy or gnarly, but it's these little tricks that when you have people behind you, they don't know what these little tricks are, and it makes it really difficult. And I'm like, why are they stuck again? And I realized that we're going down a 45-degree slope in the trees, and it's kind of gnarly.
Handlebar height adjustment. I choose to put my handlebars in the lowest position. The reason for this is it keeps the handlebars out of my way. When the handlebars are higher, they're closer to your body. In an uphill direction, it prevents me from moving my body weight far enough forward. If I'm in a side hill and the sled starts to fall away from me, the handlebars are pulling my body position downhill faster than had they be in a shorter position. In which case, the bars would probably pull me over the top of the sled, chuck me down the hill. There's a term that we use called wrong foot forward. If you're on the right running board, you're going to be standing with your left foot forward. If I need to change direction of the sled, I'm going to move my body weight fore or aft on the running board. This in turn changes the balance of the sled and the direction. So if I'm in a controlled descent, I'm going to be as far forward on the running board as I can get my body position. That places my rider weight all on the high side ski, which pushes it deep into the snow, and this is what controls my descent. Now, if I want to go into an uphill direction, simply hop back on the running board. This pushes the rear of the sled down and turns me into an upward direction. And from that point, everything's happy. To properly balance a sled on its edge on a side hill, you need to always overbalance to the hill, because if you lose the sled to the low side, you can't get it back. If you lose it to the upside, all you got to do is push the sled away with your free leg. So you always overbalance to the uphill side. If you turn away from the hill, it's going to tip the sled into the hill. If you turn into the hill, it's going to tip the sled away from the hill. If you want to change directions, you don't necessarily do it with your skis and your steering. Your steering is simply used to control the balance of the sled on its edge. If I have my wrong foot forward on either respective running board, then I need to move my body position fore or aft, depending on whether I'm going uphill or downhill or just trying to maintain a side hill. If you choose to go into a descent, move your rider weight forward. This pushes the front of the sled down and put you into a descent without changing your steering, your handlebar position or anything. If you choose to go into an uphill, simply hop back on the running board, weight the rear of the sled. This pushes the rear of the sled down and brings the front up, and away you go.
They're not just pulling the nice maneuvers off in easy terrain. They're down there where nobody else is riding in stuff that nobody ever dream of riding, and they're just riding it with ease. What's this?
Do it again.
That's what I was afraid.
I'm on the road to hell again. I'm on this road and I don't know where it ends. Are you sure you wanna follow, friend? Let you know before you decide to jump in. I'm on the road to hell again. On the road to hell again.
Coming down the hill where I'm stuck, side hill, on a steep slope, and stops on the side of the snowmobile and stops, helps me get unstuck. It's like, that's not how I've ever seen anybody else come up here to help anybody get unstuck. And it was simple, and you're thinking, well, that's cool. I want to be able to do that instead of ride up next to your buddy and get buried with him, and then you both got to turn around.
The world's about to end, about to end, about to end.
How old are you?
I'm 13.
13 years old. You handle a sled pretty good for a 13-year-old. How long have you been riding sleds, Wyatt?
I've been riding them for a couple of months now, and I'm still trying to figure some stuff out.
So you just started riding this year, mostly?
Yeah.
Cool. Maybe I could give you a few pointers. Did you see how I came right through here and turned above you, tipped my sled up and turned above you?
Yeah.
The way we do that is you get on your sled and you got to do a counter steer, all right? So you're going to turn your skis away from your turn and you put your wrong foot forward. So I'm going to stick my left foot on my right running board, and I'll just start my machine up here and I'll just demonstrate to you how I do that. And then you give it a shot, all right?
Okay.
Wyatt, I'd like you to try this maneuver one more time. Just give it a little practice here a couple of times. And I want you to go straight down the hill, jump to the right side of your sled and put your left foot forward, and then turn full left until the sled just kind of leans over for you. And then give it a little bit of throttle, gently give it some throttle. The sled will be leaning over, and then you'll go into a right-hand turn and come back up to me. Can you do that?
I'll try.
All right, let's see what you can do.
Okay.
That was awesome. You just need to practice on that a little bit, and then when you get into some real winter powder snow, it'll be a lot easier. The spring snow is a little bit harder to carve on. This time we're going to do a basic side hill maneuver, and I want you to go down the hill and come back at me on the side hill. So when you're setting up for your side hill turn, is you're going to do a wrong foot forward maneuver on the left side of your sled. Put your right foot in the foot stirrup, turn your handlebars away from you, and that'll tip it up and you'll come right at me.
Okay.
Go give her a shot. There's a fine line, especially in spring snow, of how far you can pull the sled into the hill. We'll teach you a few more maneuvers next year when we get some deep snow, huh?
Who would think that you can steer your snowmobile to the left and make it turn right?
When people don't understand the basics, the fundamentals of how to do a powder turn, they do not understand that if you want to go left, you have to turn right.
Sweets and then you blue and be all of my sheets.
Steady, buddy, steady.
You should be able to wave while you're side hilling. That's how much effort it takes. The snowmobile is doing the work.
doctor's office, and all the tests came back negative. So I don't know what rash you got, but you didn't get it from me.
Yeah.
So what do you do at the X Games when you win?
I go like this. With the terrain that these sleds are able to take you in, the only way you can actually do it is to be super smooth, and I think that's one thing that I've learned from Brett, is to slow down to be fast.
So this is a really good depiction of showing how effortless it is to make a transition from a right-hand side hill to a left-hand side hill. Chris comes around the tree and steps over the seat, goes into a counter steer situation, wrong foot forward, and just gives a little tug on the sled. He's not putting a lot of effort in it at all. He's using the weight of the sled, gravity, and a little bit of throttle to make everything happen. As he comes near the tree, you'll see that he's got to go down around it. Right here, he moves his body weight forward and pushes the front of the sled down so that it goes underneath the tree instead of stopping in the tree well. Once he gets below the tree, then he steps back on the running board and throttles the engine. This spins the track and washes the rear of the sled down slightly and puts him into the left-hand turn. Once he gets to a certain point, he's stretching, he's pulling the sled really hard to the left, but he's got to get across the sled and tip it back into the hill. When he's ready to straighten the sled out, he turns his skis full left. This is going to throw the sled uphill as he jumps over the seat and lands on the running board. He's counter steering to the left and pulling the sled into the hill and coming back across the hill just where he came from. The problem is he could end up in the trees at the bottom. There's no outlet. The only way out is up. Remember, it's easy to push the sled away from the hill, but you can't get the sled back once it falls past the center of gravity. So Chris is coming across the side hill here. You notice he takes a look up and he thinks that there might be a line, and there might be if he had a race gas turbo instead of a pump gas turbo, but he's looking at it hard. He's not gaining enough momentum, so he goes to plan B and just continues across the side hill. Always got to have a plan B, because plan A doesn't always ever work out. So in this clip, it shows him coming into some trees, and he's either got to go up or down. The decision he made was to go up, and in order to make the sled turn up quickly enough to get past the tree without going into the tree, if you notice, he makes a quick hop back on the running board, and that puts the sled into a harder right-hand turn. It's somewhat subtle, but it's what makes the difference and what keeps him out of the tree. Chris doesn't turn the skis or anything to make the sled change directions. He's simply moving his body position.
This is something that not many people do, but we can go down the hill, pretty much any hill, and I mean, it's got to be in most of the snow conditions you can do this. In the spring, it gets a little scary. You can go down on your side and be in control the whole time. Everyone hates going downhill. Brett and I love going downhills because you get on that A-arm, and that A-arm pushes all the snow, and you're slowing down on the A-arm. What it does is it gives you the opportunity to go back up, gives you the opportunity to flip it back over and go to the right. You have all sorts of options where if you're just on your skis and your track, you're going down. That's where you're going. You're going into the tree. Where Brett and I we just go up to the steep one and then just go put it on its side and go down. And
in this situation, I could turn downhill and go to the bottom and come back up and do whatever I wanted to do, but I'm going to pretend that there's like a cliff or a tree, or there's something that I don't want to go off of. I'm going to get my sled in motion, and then I'm going to continue to go forward. And to do this, I'm just going to turn the sled downhill to get started, and then I'm going to put it into a left-hand turn. So the handlebars are in the low position. I'm standing as far out on the running board for maximum leverage as I can get. Now you'll notice I'm not using wrong foot forward at this point because I'm just trying to get the sled moving. Once I turn and start downhill, you'll notice that I skip to a wrong foot forward position. As soon as the sled is in a position where it'll come over, I don't have to pull it. I'm not using any strength or effort. I'm letting gravity basically pull the sled onto its left side. And when it does that, it's pushing this left ski into the snow. It's going to control the speed of my descent. Then I'm going to throw it into a left-hand turn by hopping back on the running board and placing my rider weight as far back as possible. You also notice that with my free leg, I'm pushing the sled away from the hill. It's because it's overbalancing into the hill, and I'm pushing the sled away to keep it from washing out. So you notice once I get through the apex of the turn, my skis will straighten out just a little bit. That's to kind of maintain the balance. But at this point I don't have to paddle anymore with my feet, with my free leg, because the sled, after I straighten my skis out, the sled's not tipping into the hill as hard. And it's balancing itself. You see that I lean my body weight over the center of the sled to keep it going straight up the hill instead of coming all the way around. The first time or two you try this, you'll probably see where the sled comes all the way around and you do a donut. Well, it's because you need to get your rider weight back over the center of the sled as quickly as possible.
You know, on flat ground, I think the biggest thing that helps my guys is that I tell them to do the counter steer, get it up on its side, and then to maintain it, you have to go slow. You can't go fast or you're out of control. So get it up on edge, and then you can use that rudder foot, that would be, so on the left-hand side, you'd be left foot out, on the right-hand side, your right foot out, and you use that as a pedal to kind of walk the sled around. And you should be able to do a really tight circle on flat ground.
Don't know if I'll ever learn. Can't wait till I get my turn to burn in the infernal hellfire. Well, I'm waiting for my last ride while the bugle up my backside blows the blues in me.
They're right at home.
Oh, that's logging there.
Bend my sacrilegious ass. Ain't nothing out there that scares me. Ah, yeah. Yeah, it's time to fly the finger. That middle digit brings you point in a time to home. Scout has earned his salt. I'm gonna hop on top of your mom before I go. Oh yeah, 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 you know I'm in league with Satan, and you know there can be no debating my hill-bound trail. I was born with a tail. I'm on a hill-bound trail. Oh yeah, born with a tail. Oh yeah, now. You're feeling all right? Let me hear you say yeah. You can't turn back the tide of the cold tears from your eyes. The pains of wounded pride of you holding me. Someone do you wrong, yeah. Good love as good as gone. Maybe you ain't as strong as you wanna be. It's alright.
Do I look professional?
No, but camera does. It's alright if you don't wanna be alone. It's alright if you don't wanna go home. I understand, I understand, I understand. Nothing stays if it's gotta go now. You can't get a water from a stone. Sometimes you gotta think about the things you're gonna love. You can't point the finger right.
And besides that, it allows me to ride at the level that Chris Brandt rides.
Where's my name in there?
And Greg Elliott. And all you girls out there.
And Dustin.
And Dustin. Have I ever rode with Dustin?
Yes.
Dustin rocks, by the way.
I believe it was at Soda Springs that I saw him pull off the most amazing line. And everybody was climbing to the one certain section, which is basically a wall with brush in it. And the main line got so chewed up that nobody could get through it. It was just rocks. So Brett came up to it and actually cut the line early and actually side-hilled through that brush and then came back into the gates and continued on up the hill. A line that I didn't think there was any way you could take a sled through.
Maybe not so.
Now that you're doing all right, you're pretty much out of sight. I don't hear you knocking round my door anymore.
What I would like to see for the sport of snowmobiling in the next couple of years is, one, I hope we're still allowed to snowmobile in the next couple of years, and for two, I hope those cross-country skiers have to buy a $35 registration sticker and put on their skis.
Because when I wear my swimming suit and I sunbathe on the top of the mountain, I don't want to have bibs, tan lines, you know.
No climbing. Rookie camera guy.